crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. Welcome to part 7 of my Eden's Garden workshop series on YouTube. This series is all about the Eden's Garden bundle, and we always focus on the bundle, which is the stamp set and the dies. And in every single one of the tutorials in this workshop series, we use either the bundle, the dies, both, and even some designer series paper and things that you got in your kit. Now let me just show you this in this mini catalog where I just had a piece of paper here. I just want to show you this bundle. This was an early release. So even though this catalog just went live on January 4th, I was able to get this, and so were you, several months ago because it was a pre-release to the mini catalog. So here's some other things you can do with it. And I forgot to point that out to you because I wasn't able to open this catalog until recently. So I forgot to point out these really cool projects to you that you can see on page 41. And most of you have this catalog already, the paper catalog. All right, so before we get started, I just want to say one thing, and then I'll talk about this card we're making. This is the card we're making. I'll say something about the card we're making in a moment. But I really want to acknowledge and thank you for my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel just reached 31,000 subscribers. It's like 31,050 or something. It kind of just happened and I didn't realize it was happening. So 31,000 subscribers. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for your support. I wanted to just let you know a little bit about my channel because sometimes people come in from all different angles. My channel is about several things, and it's always about paper crafting because I'm the paper chef. So it's always about paper crafting. I always paper craft with usually Stampin' Up products. I also have a whole series on scan and cut. So my channel is about the scan and cut, the Brothers Scan and Cut machine, Stampin' Up products, and then I have many workshop series. I have different series on how to do in-depth techniques and different things. And I try to focus on certain products, and I have several series. And then I also have like an Ink It Up where I teach stamping techniques, and a Paper Pumpkin series where I show you what you can make with your paper pumpkin kits. So that's what my channel's about. So if you're new here, please subscribe. Now, I came up with this card. I really just thought of this while sitting in the bathtub. I was telling my sister about it on the phone, and I said, I have to execute this idea. The idea I had for part 7 of this workshop series was to show you how to work with the borders dies. And I was going to do something totally different with the borders dies. I'm going to show you some cards where I use the borders dies in many different ways. But then I came up with, wouldn't it be fun to put this border as part of a gatefold? So then I came up with this idea, and it just kind of came to me that you could, if you offset these a little bit, you can just sort of, instead of using like a belly band or a ribbon, you can just sort of tuck them a little bit like that, and then it'll stay shut. It won't stay shut really well. You can still use a belly band or a string if you want. So the technique I'm going to teach you is called gatefold card. We're going to make this card, gatefold card. And I used very vanilla on the inside, but you could have just as easily used basic white. Now, if you have your kit, I'm going to have to ransack my last, I think I'm only down to 1 or 2 kits left. So now I'm going to ransack part of this kit here. Ever Eden specialty paper. I do have another pack somewhere, but I can't find it. So we're going to use the Ever Eden specialty designer series paper for this project. Now I meant to use this piece, but I didn't have it. I love this. This is my favorite piece of it. This is not available anymore. This is just something that I hoarded for my kit members. And in the US, you're allowed to order. You can order different kits, and I always hoard things to put in my kits. Like right now, I'm in the process of hoarding the rainbows and sunshine celebration paper, so just to make sure we don't run out. And that's my next workshop, and you're able to start registering for that one too. We're going to be starting that next workshop series soon. I'm just trying to find the papers. Okay, so let's see. This paper is a good one. Now, use whatever you have is what my motto is always use whatever you have, right? You can do any projects I'm teaching you with whatever products you have, because I'm going to start from start to finish. I'm thinking these two. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because these are just so gorgeous and so ornate. And I don't want to use this one with the white knit because I'm using very vanilla on the inside, and I think I'm going to use very vanilla this time for the stamping too. All right, so we've done long enough introduction. We need to start stamping, and I'll say hi to you in a minute. And I see all the congratulations coming in, and I really do appreciate that. I know I've overused the soft succulent. I know it. You have so many other colors of cardstock in your kits, but I just love using soft succulent, so I'm going to use it again. We're going to make 2 cards at once. Let's get out the Simply Scored first. Okay, so this time we usually score before we cut, but this time is no exception. Let's put this here. Let's move this for a second. So take out a piece of soft succulent cardstock or whatever cardstock you're using, and it's an 8.5 by 11, and you're going to put it on your Simply Scored, or you can use your Stampin' trimmer, and you're going to score it. We're going to make the gatefold first. All right, because if you try to make it later, and believe me, I've done a lot of experiments for you, so you don't have to experiment. I've done the experimentation for you. If you try to score it later, okay, you're never going to get you're never going to get it the way you want it, because once you chop off the ends when we do this die part, then it won't be the right size anymore. So anyway, we're going to use we're going to go to 2 7/8 inches. Okay, so 2 7/8 is what we're scoring. This is a typical gatefold card. Okay, and you're like, wow, that's a big card, right? No, we're gonna make 2 cards at once. I'm just flipping it around, and we're gonna do 2 7/8 inches again. This makes sure that you have your gatefold exactly the way you want it. All right. Now we're gonna take our trimmer and we're gonna cut this paper in half. So now we have 2 cards, and we're gonna cut it in half at 4 1/4. So this was an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. We're going to go ahead and cut it 4 1/4. So I'll write that down for you, and then you'll have the first set of measurements. And I'm kind of behind in my blog post. I'm still working on the Giving Gifts workshop. Not sending them out, I'm saying. I'm still working on the blog post. I'm not even done blogging about that workshop. And when I blog, I put all the measurements. I have to find an easier way. But either way, I'm going to just... So I made 2 cards at once, and you can too. So let's write down this, and then we'll use our little spatula to do our flattening out. All right, so we have our card. I thought this was a thicker marker. Does it have another side? No, it's not as thick as I thought. So cardstock is, okay, it's going to be 11 inches, right, times 4 1/4. Okay, and then we're going to score at 2 7/8 inches on all sides. All right, so far so good. Now we don't really have to worry about folding it. Like, we can leave it like this for now. We don't have to worry about folding it yet. But the only reason I want to fold it is because I want to show you how to fold it. So when you have your valley, like when you use your score and you score down into something, that's a valley, and then you're gonna make those into mountains. So you're gonna fold them up. So that's the only reason I want to score it. I mean, that's the only reason I want to fold it first, just to show you how easy it is to fold it that way. It's just kind of, you're going with the grain. It's the way that it works out better. So you don't need to do this part yet, because we're actually going to open it back up for die cutting. But I just wanted to show you that. So now I'm going to just take your little spatula, or I'm just using a Pampered Chef spatula. Use whatever spatula you have. And anyway, we're gonna be unfolding it again when we do our die cutting. Okay, so we want to die cut like this. Do you see what I'm saying? We're gonna unfold it, and now this is the front of the card. So we want to die cut, whereas we put the die on top of it, like facing down. All right, so let's start die cutting. And I think I need to do a little bit more trimming of the paper in a couple minutes, but let's just die cut. We're just going to die cut the soft succulent for a moment, and we'll get back to the trimmer and the scoring. Oh no, I don't think I'm done with the scoring, but we definitely need the trimmer again. All right, so we'll just leave the trimmer out. We'll bring the die cutting machine in, and we'll get this part done, because that part needs to be done. This part is the cutting out the die, the border die. So we're going to take our sandwich we need our base plate. And I'd always start, when I'm doing my workshop series, unlike other things, and same with my card club series, I have lots of different series going on right now. I always start at the beginning. So, you can, if you already know this part, just make cards with me and get it done. So we're using plate 1. I like these videos to be independent of each other, so you can come in any video and you know what's going on. So plate number 1 in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. We need plate number 2 because we're using a thin die. And we need 2 plate number 3s for this sandwich. We're going to put a plate number 3 down. And we're going to put another plate number 3 on top. It can be any, might not say 3, but let's find one that says 3 and make it easier. Here we go. Now you need some painter's tape for this. You want the die to stay on straight. So we're going to put in between these 2 cutting plates, we're going to put that border die facing straight down. Let's get out the border die. And you also need to cut one of these. I already cut one earlier, and you're going to need to cut one of these for your card. And we've already been through all this, right? You're going to need to cut one of these for your card too. One of these. We're not using this one today, but we're going to cut the border. The border is the tricky part. Not tricky, but it's the one I want to show you. All right, now we're going to take our card and put it face down. Okay, and I mean, this is the front of the card again. That's the front of the card. So we're going to open it back up and lay it flat, and we need to put the card like this. Okay, now what I like to do is, because I want them to sort of, I'm just going to go to the one end. Just going to go to the top. See, what I'm doing is, you want this to be the top, but not over, because then you're going to cut off the leaves. You want them to have a nice border. So you're going to do this, right? Just to like touch it right to there. If you need to go like this, go like that, just to make sure this doesn't go over. That's the way you want it. Okay, now I'm going to put the piece of tape on it. Don't worry about how much tape you put on here, because you're not going to see any of this tape. This tape, all that part where the tape gets stuck onto and it makes the paper rip, it doesn't matter at all, because we're ripping that whole front part off. You'll see. Wait till you see the stitching on this border. It's so cool. So that's it. So now we're going to put the plate number 3. So we have this. Oops, we got to, sorry. You can't have the dies. See, the die is only 6 inches wide, so we have to make sure. I'm putting it over some. Where's my plate number 3? I just had it in my hand. Oh, here it is. Here's the other plate number 3. So plate number 3, and here's another plate number 3. That's your sandwich. I'm going to crank it through, and I'm going to crank it back. So I'm going to go like this. You're going to hear a little crunching noise. Right? Hear that little, not crunching noise, but you hear a little, it got under there, and I'm just going to crank it back, just for good measure. Okay. And the magic begins. Look at that. Super cool, right? Don't worry, we're covering that up, that seam. And it's cardstock, so it just popped, everything popped right out of it. Okay, already you have a super pretty card. But when I was in a quandary when I first did my gatefold, I'm like, it's not really touching as much as I wanted it to. So then I came up with this idea. So you're going to use whatever you have. I'm going to use what's called the rose gold. I got to poke all these little holes out. It's called rose gold and gold metallic paper. That's what we're going to use next. We're going to cut 2 borders from it. Let me poke all these little bits out. And I'll show you kind of how I came up with the solution to make this sort of touch closer together. This is called the Take Your Pick tool. If you don't have a Take Your Pick tool, you're missing out. There's lots of gadgets. I mean, it's not just a cool tool, because it has the spatula and the pokey tool and the putty for picking up sequins. But it also has this little gizmo, which you can then attach things to it, like, well, not gizmo, this little thing comes out, I'm sorry. And in here can go a die brush, where you can brush your dies. Pretty cool. I use this thing all the time. All right, so to pick up all your little extra pieces, just go like that. All right, so now we need 2 pieces of rose gold and gold metallic cardstock. So we're going to use, but you can use brushed metallic cardstock. I just think it would look good with 2 different kinds of cardstock. That's the idea behind here. So the rose gold and gold comes in a pack like this. Gold and rose gold metallic specialty paper. Okay, so we're going to pull these out, and we're going to make 1-inch strips. So take one of each, like you're going to take a gold one and a rose gold one. I think I only gave you little strips, but just take those out like that. And you're going to, it depends on, like I have them going in that direction, the greens. So I'm going to kind of turn them like this. See the grain, the way the grain goes? I'm going to cut the 1 inch. I want 1 inch of these. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut 1 inch. Okay, we're gonna just put this right here. So you can see, this is my old blade. Let's just cut one at a time in case I get wonky here. All right, 1 inch. It doesn't even have to be exactly an inch. This is just give or take, because you want a little, yeah, let me put this down a little bit. Okay, that's my old blade. Let me put this new blade. Okay, blade. Okay, good. We have a 1 inch, and then we're going to do this one. I probably could have cut both at once. It's not that thick of paper. And again, just use, you might have a scoring tool you can use on your trimmer to score with. I just happen to take mine off. I have 2 blades in there. One blade is more dull than the other. So now what we're going to do is just pull this back and cut these 2 pieces. Now again, you just want 2 different colors. I just think it looks cool with 2 different colors. So I'm thinking, this is what I'm also thinking. I'm getting these ready for my next kit. So you guys have bigger pieces of this. I think I gave you 6-inch pieces or 4-inch pieces. But now I'm kind of getting low, so I had to use, for my next kit, I'm going to use 1.5 little pieces. But anyway, this is called brushed metallic cardstock, and this would work too. This is a current product of ours. You could also use gold and, silver, or you can use just 2 colors of anything, but I'm using the rose gold and gold. But you're just going to use 2 different kinds of cardstock. Don't try to cut both at once because I don't think it's going to work, so you're just going to do one at a time, like that. Okay, so we're just going to, it might work with 2 at a time, but I'm just going to go for it and do 1 at a time. So the reason you're doing the 1-inch strip is so you get it real tight on there and it goes straight. Now there's a little what's it called? A perforation, a little stitching. So therefore, I wanted this to be straight. That's why I made these 1-inch strips. And again, it's a lot of experimentation, so you don't have to, right? So we're going to always tape this down. If you don't tape it down, you're going to get all wonky. And I probably could make it go in sideways too. I don't have to make it go in forward like that. I'm going to get some die cutting nerd to say, oh, you should put it in a different direction. We'll put the next one in another direction. How about that? We'll put the next one in sideways because it would work a little better than going like broadside here. All right, so that's it. So we got that out. So we're doing one of those. Now we're going to do another one with the other metallic. And if you can, use your tape again. Keep using the same tape. And don't worry that the paper rips because the part that's going to rip is not the part you want anyway. Okay, before you pull it all apart, make sure you got the good impression, and I did. So now you can sort of wiggle it because if you don't get a good impression, you have to roll it back through. Anyway, I'm calling someone a die cutting nerd, but I'm a die cutting nerd. So I'm the one that would probably be like, no! Sometimes I watch people and I'm like, oh, don't get caught up in there. All right, so let's see. We got to poke the holes out. See, sometimes when you put like a short die in and you put it in, it's probably better, not short die, but this is short side. It's better to put it in this way. That's what I was trying to say. All right, I think I got all the pokey bits out. Now this one, I can get the pokey bits out a little bit more, like this piece. Like that. Oh, good. Try not to rip. Try not to rip it. But look at that beautiful stitching on this border. I love this beautiful stitching. So I wanted to make sure when I put the designer series paper onto my card that I hid everything but not the stitching. I really wanted the stitching to stick out. Like I wanted to cover up the seam but let the stitching stick out because the stitching's cool. And we'll put that in, get all the little bits out. Okay, so far so good. And then we're going to do the other piece. I probably don't need to poke it all out because it's not even going to be this long. But you get the idea. I probably don't need to poke out the ones at the very far end. So I'm going to be cutting some of those off. So at this point, if you're already probably way ahead of me, you probably die cut both pieces already. Go get some adhesive. Get some tear and tape, some seal adhesive, or even glue, because we need to glue the card together. And let's do the other one of these. So if you ever get bored, you always just can craft. You just do the next step. If you're ever waiting for me to do the next step, you just go get something to craft with. Okay, this is the way it really should go in. I'm going to put the plate. Okay. Sometimes you can use these little bits of tape to get this part out in the back. But that's what a die brush is for, and I didn't have my die brush with me. All right, so we have to just improvise. I think I'm all done with the die cutting because the other pieces I have for us already cut out. We will do some more with the trimmer when we cut our little pieces of designer series paper, but we don't need to die cut because you need to die cut though. You need to die cut a piece of that, a piece of this. I use soft succulent for this here. Just look at the card. Here's your homework while I'm doing some fiddling around here. I'm fiddle farting. People laugh when I say that, but I am fiddle farting. Okay, I need to get these little bits out. You need a piece of that, a little leaf, and in one color. I just use soft succulent for that one. A little piece of that. I use just brushed metallic cardstock. It's a great cardstock combination pack because it has 3 colors on it, and you can just always have contrast. Because I couldn't put gold, the regular kind of gold, right on top of the gold on this piece of paper because it's already gold, so it wouldn't have contrasted. So that's why it's good to have brushed metallic cardstock and get some gold and silver foil. Get some vellum. Get some extra specialty papers, and then you have always a way to contrast. All right. Yay. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to take, we have a long side and a short side of the card. This is our short side. Okay, our short side, it's already cut for us, so we need to find the groove, find out right where it's at here, measure it up like that. Okay, perfectly aligned. See, that's what we need to do, and we're going to adhere this. So I like to use tear and tape for this, and I didn't use glue on this part because I was thinking it'd be a way to help. You'll see what I mean. It was a way I was thinking that little, if I don't glue the front, I can help use it to tuck my card in together because these like flap around a little bit. So all I did was adhere this part. So I'm using a piece of tear and tape. And I'm just adhering this part. Okay, you should put the tear and tape up a little further, but you can always roll it off. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm covering it up with designer series paper anyway. Okay, so do that. And then turn around and chop off the excess. Don't chop it off ahead of time. Chop it off later because you need to line this up exactly. This side, you're lining up. So don't chop off until you get it lined up. And then only chop off the excess. All right, so far so good. That's what we have. Now, I told you that my quandary was this was a little bit short. So I came up with, okay, let's take this one and just put it right there. Okay, so we'll put this one across from it like this. See? Now I don't have really as big of a gap, and it came out cute, and then I could tuck them into each other. So let's do that. And I just kind of, reason I have you cut 6-inch pieces and don't cut the cardstock ahead of time, because then you don't have to do a whole lot of thinking, because you can just sort of wiggle it and make sure it goes on in an alternate direction. I'll show you, like an alternate place. Like don't make this line up exactly where that is. Like make it line up like kind of like an alternate like that so that it tucks under each other a little better and it helps you shut the card. But you can always use string. You can always use whatever you want to use, right? Use string or twine, a ribbon. You can make a belly band. You can make, there's other ways to adhere your card shut. But I just like to tuck it under. I thought that was kind of fun. All right, so there we go. So we're going to put this. So if that one is going like that, I'm going to go. Yeah. See, I don't want that one to be exactly across from that one. So I'm just going to kind of go like that. I'm going right out to the edge here. Okay, let's make sure it's straight. So this piece again is adhered straight onto the top of the one we've already cut. This piece is, however, so this side is longer. This part of the card is longer. And you can even mess with some of your settings to make one side even longer than the other, and the same concept will apply, but then you just got to use different measurements. Okay, we're going to trim that off. So now we're going to put our little designer series paper on the little flaps. And then we'll do our sentiment. So we need little flaps of designer series paper. We're going to take out these and just kind of look at the way the patterns go. So I want my patterns to go, like I want this pattern to go like this. I just love that piece. I think I'll put this piece on this side this time. All right, measurements are 2 inches by, oh boy, let me find my sticky note. 2 inches by, oh, it's 4 1/4. I say duh because I wanted it to cover the whole thing because I'm trying to cover up this whole part. So that's why I made it 4 1/4 because the card is 4 1/4. That's why I say duh. Okay, so we're going to make it 2 inches, right? I'm doing the small side first. 2 inches. I'll write it down on the paper by 4 1/4. 4 1/4. And if you could also make it longer and then like trim it off, but I think that one is you can just cut it the way you want. Okay, so something like that. And I wanted that seam to show. See, I wanted that seam to stick out. That's where I came up with that measurement. And we're just going to adhere it with some Seal Plus. I like the Seal Plus adhesive. Has little ridges on it. Let's put that on there. Let's see which way I had it going. The leaves are facing up. We're going to do it. This one on this side. All right, so to get it straight, I'm going to use the corner of this trimmer. There's a corner there so I can get the paper straight, so it won't be all wonky. And if you use glue, it's even easier. If you use glue, liquid glue, you don't have to worry about things becoming wonky, right? I'm going to have to do this. I'm right-handed, and it's just easier if I do it this way. All right. Good, good, good. And now we need the other little piece. Let's write down this for yourself, so if you're following along. All right, so DSP, 4 1/4, because it's the length of the paper, right? 4 1/4 by 2 inches. I'm using the specialty paper that was part of a special collection. I'm using the Ever Eden Specialty Designer Series paper. Okay. And now we're going to use another piece of that. So we need, again, 4 1/4, but it just needs to be wider this time. So it needs to be wider. So it's still 4 1/4. But this little piece over here, because this little panel is bigger, is going to be 2 5/8 inches. Okay, let's get this piece, and we want it to kind of go like that, right? So let's see. Thinking like, yeah, I'm thinking like that would be the vertical way. So we're going to go 2 5/8. 2 1/2, 2 5/8. Let's make sure before I make it the other way. Here, see. Yep, that's a good, see? It gives me it's big enough where, well, this one even went a little bit, I could have gone a little bit shorter with this one to make the seam stick out a little better. But it's good. I like it though. I'm liking it. 2 5/8 and then by 4 1/4. Again 4 1/4 because that's the size of our card. I'm covering up the whole card. I usually don't do that. I usually have, like I said, I usually have 1 inch margins. Oh, I just love this paper. I cannot get over how cool this paper is. I really should have got more, but I was so busy trying to get stuff for the new catalog and didn't get as much retiring stuff as I wanted, but I have to balance between new and retired. Okay, so let's turn that. I might use my scoreboard, but I think I might just use this to hold, yeah. I think it's easier if I use that as my guide. I like the little ledge on this one better than the ledge on my, yes, that ledge is a better ledge for crafting than the other. So it will go nice either way, but this kind of is the top. Like, I mean, I think that kind of goes up. So the reason I didn't adhere this together with glue is because I thought this could help close the card. If you want to, you just open this up and shove all these little bits in between these two layers, right? I didn't want to do that right now, but you see what I mean? Shove all these little bits in between those two layers and you could get the card to shut that way. But you could also use, like I said, a belly band. I mean, there's many ways. A twine. string. All right, let's keep going. We're going to decorate some, and we're going to do some more stamping. So we need a piece of Very Vanilla now. So we have our card. We're going to use Very Vanilla for the inside. Only because it's in your kit, and I think you probably already used up all your basic white. Very Vanilla, 4 1/4 by, well, we always start here by the length times width. 5 and, oh no, not 4 1/4, by 4. Sorry. 5 1/4 by 4. See, because you're going to have a little margin on the inside. And then you're going to put a little do Very Vanilla. And I keep on tossing my trimmer off to the side, and then I always need it again. So what do we say? 5 1/4 by 4. Five 1/4 by 4, and then we're going to take a piece of designer series paper. Let's use a piece here. 1 inch. Let's do 1 inch. And then I'll show you my trick here. So you don't have to do all this cutting a lot, because sometimes, no matter, with our best efforts, we never can line up things, and even if we cut them the right size. So sometimes if you use glue, it's a little better, because then you can do something like this. You use glue, and then you go like this, right? You just kind of shove this right there like that. Like, pick the pattern the way you want it. Maybe, okay, there's a lot of these leaves showing. See what I'm saying? And you can, like, hold it like that. See? You kind of get it to be exactly the way you want it. Instead of trying to cut it, and then you're, like, putting it on the card, and you're like, how did it not line up? I just got done cutting it. That's not the right pair of scissors. So that's just a little trick. Then you can cut it afterwards like this. See? And then you have this perfect lineup. Instead of trying to cut it on the trimmer where they never line up the same way twice. Voila. Okay? And then keep out that Very Vanilla, because you're going to need it for stamping. And we're going to stamp the Sending Hugs. But before we stamp, let's go ahead and adhere this to the inside of the card, because we're going to get our hands dirty. Just putting a little bit of adhesive. This is Seal Plus adhesive, guys. But that's the way it goes up. So we're putting that in the center. Boom, that's done. See, so you can make a, like, do the mass production card technique. Oh, if you want to write a big message, like maybe it's a sympathy card and you want to write a lot of messages, put some strips here of paper, write a lot more messages there. But if you just want to put something there, that's fine. And now we need something here and some dies. So we're going to take this, we're going to stamp Sending Hugs. But before we do, I think it would be better to just do a little bit of blending first. So when we punch it out, it'd be easier. So I'm going to take the Pale Papaya. I already know Pale Papaya is going to coordinate, because Pale Papaya is one of the ink colors. It's going to coordinate. Okay, so we're going to tap. We're going to tap, tap, tap. We need a stamping block. Let's see. I hope I didn't wash them all. Here we go. Stamping block, stamping block. Okay, we're going to put some ink on the stamping block. Okay, this is some Pale Papaya ink. I put it on the stamping block. I'm going to rub it on my blending brush. I'm going to tap it onto my little rubber mat here to get off the first blob, or you can tap it right onto your mat. And then I'm just going to kind of do that. Okay? So it just gives me more control. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. Good. There's a method of me blending first, because if I blend after, I accidentally smeared my ink. Okay, so we're going to blend first. Now we're going to take some soft succulent. Open up the soft succulent. Now, this already has Pale Papaya on that side, so let's use this side. Tap, tap, tap. Right? Get your blending brush that has some green on it. Bang it out onto the thing so it's not too dark. If you don't bang it out onto your little mat, you're going to end up with this big blob of ink. All right. Tap, tap, tap. On where you're trying to blend. All right, there we go. So it's easier to blend first where you don't, if you don't blend first, then you end up rubbing your sentiment all over the place. Now we're going to open this up, Evening Evergreen, and we're going to put the Sending Hugs for the card on here. So Sending Hugs. Open that up. We've used the heck out of this stamp set, as we do in all of my workshop series. Sending hugs. Put it there. Put your stamping block, put it on your stamping block. Tap, tap, tap into the evening evergreen. Tap, tap, tap. Make sure your evening evergreen is good. I'm just tapping over there. And we're going to put it on the Very Vanilla. Now, when I did it earlier, I used basic white, but then I thought I wanted to use Very Vanilla, so that's why I'm using Very Vanilla from the get-go. Okay, there you go. And then you're going to either die cut that out, but I'm using a retired punch called the Timeless Label Punch. So much for being timeless. Stampin' Up! Retired my punch, and it was Timeless Label. They should have never retired the Timeless Label Punch. It's a really cool punch because it's so wide. Oh, that didn't just fall in the ink. Okay, get it. I thought it fell in the ink. I was like, it fell down over here. Good. Perfect. I was like, please don't fall face forward into the ink. So let's close all this. Now we're going to get some bling and just decorate. So I already have my bling cut out. I used the sticker material that we used in an earlier part of this workshop course. Remember, we used the sticker material. One of the things was about how to make stickers or how to use the adhesive sheets. Remember that? Nod your heads. Yes, you remember that. No, I'm just kidding. I can't see you nodding your heads. But if you remember that, then that's where I did this. I did it, and I made extra stickers here using that sticker material. I said, hey, don't throw this out. So now I'm using my little take your pick tool. And I'm doing like that, see? Now this is a sticker. How cool is that? It's a sticker, right? Only because I had extra sticker material. So I was able to get in there and make stickers out of the extra little parts. So I'm just going to plunk that over this side. Now again, it has to contrast. So this is gold, so this will contrast. So plunk that over here. Let's see how I did this one. Here, let's move that out of the way so we don't get ink on. Let's see if I put it up or down. I think I just put it, okay, like that, kind of off. Like that. So we have that side decorated. That side's done. It's decorated. Now for this side, let me close the ink because you know I'm going to get ink all over the place. For this side, I wanted to put one of these there for contrast. So we're going to put that on there. And this side, I don't think I used just sticker material for this one. So I'm just going to use glue. But you could have used sticker material. Okay, looks good. Plunk that down. Okay, now we have a little layering going on. That's what we're doing. Now we got this little guy. I've already cut this out. I cut this out with soft succulent. Chop, chop, chop. Go like this. Chop, chop, right? Chop out the middle. Do this. Little bit of adhesive. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, I'm just putting that in there like that. See, that's the top side, right? Sorry, you're out of focus. Okay, move it all the way. This one down here. Okay, now we have it attached, right? And we're going to put it there. Plunk, plunk, plunk. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz. All right, we're going to find some, boy, I'm getting low on these guys. What is going on with the, I'm slumming it with my dimensionals here. All right, because those are my mini dimensionals, and I really should have been using big dimensionals, but that's okay. When you don't have any big dimensionals like right near you, you just grab the mini ones and you cut off the sides of them. But the mini dimensionals aren't the same height as the regular dimensionals. The regular dimensionals are higher, actually. They're like a little taller. So there you go. Voila. And he goes right here. And we've just duplicated the card. And we can just do that quicker and quicker as we make more and more. But we need a little bling. Got to have a little bling. So we're going to use, in your kit, you had a bunch of those gems. And I've been using the heck out of the gems. So I decided to change it up a bit. The garden gems. And instead, I think we should be using some iridescent rhinestone jewels. So I just plunked a couple like that. It was easier for me to use my hands than the take your pick tool for this part to get them to where I wanted them. That was my opinion. So I put two there. Now I had a quandary because I needed a odd number, right? Because I always tell you about odd numbers, having odd numbers of things. So then I was like, I put one over here. And then I was like, now I got 3, but then it's awkward. So then I put 4. And then that was kind of awkward. So then I put 5. So that's what I did for my first card. So now you have 5. Now you got the odd number going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here's where I put them on the first card. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can take your, oh, I had a different one. I had this, you guys have a different twine that's thin. This twine came out of one of my kits, just so you know. It came out of, it's not in your kit, but it came out of one of my kits. I forget what the kit was called. Christmas Whimsy, maybe? So if you have something came out of Forever Forestry or whatever it's green, Forever Greenery, you have what's called like gold linen thread in your kit. So anyway, I'm just giving you an idea of what to do with your gold linen thread. Is just you're going to tie your card shut, or you can make a belly band, or you can do what I was telling you about, the little tucking technique, where you're going like this, where you're tucking it, like tucking the card like that. See, if you tuck it in between each other, it will stay shut, sort of, but it's still kind of cool to give someone a little bow. Because your card is a little gift in itself, right? I mean, you're writing a note on it, but you can also, you're putting a bow on it to keep it shut, but it's also kind of a little, like you're giving someone a little gift. And you can still put it in a bag and still put like your little gems on it. Oh, you want to do it like that so you don't hide the sending hugs. This is make a perfect sympathy card, I think. A perfect thinking of you card. Or any kind of card when you're giving someone some cheer. People will like something like that. All right, let me show you the rest of my projects and let me say hi to you. Oh, here comes Love Face again with the darn spam. Thank you for reporting that, Janet. Another troll, like someone said, right? There's a troll, but you guys are not trolls. You guys are my friends. Hi, Nola. Hi, Frida. And Lorna. And Gloria. And Lynn. And Katie. And Denise. Hello, hello, hello. Michelle. Michelle, your kit is totally on the way. I will send you tracking again. And boy, now we got a 3-day weekend coming up. So I hope you get it before the 3-day weekend ends. Because we're already starting the next kit, right? Denise. C. Lala. Is that C is that Crystal C or is that a different C? Yeah, die cutting nerds. I am a die cutting nerd. I'm calling other people die cutting nerds, but I'm a die cutting nerd. Julie. I'm the one that watches videos sometimes and goes, oh, turn the die the other way. You're going to break your die or whatever. Hi, Jen and Janet and Beverly. I hope I got everybody. And then we got the trolls. And then we got Polly who just showed up. All right, cool. So what I want to show you is, this is part 7. I just need to move the stuff so we don't get ink on my projects. So let me move all this stuff away. I like to just sort of clear the table when I do this part because it's better to see my projects on the wood here. So this is what we made today in part 7. Every single video we made a different project. But I also, throughout this series, told you about all kinds of things you can do with the Eden's Garden, okay? Eden's Garden collection. So not in any particular order, and some of these were made on Facebook, and some of these were made on Facebook, some were made on YouTube. So I'm not even going to say what number's what because this is not the conclusion. When I do the conclusion video of the series, I will say, hey, in part 1 we did this, in part 2. But in one of the videos we did this. We made Hershey Nugget treats. These are Hershey Nuggets candies. These is the Stitch Rectangle dies and the Garden Gems. Okay, so that's what they are. They're a little piece of heaven if you haven't tried Hershey Nuggets. They have toffee with almonds. Okay, in one of the videos we did this box. I showed you how to stamp the craft box and decorate the box. We used that really cool big die. Hi Mary, how you doing? Okay, so that was one of the videos. In one of the videos, when I think it was the introductory video, I showed you how to create this technique here, just how to use the dies and getting familiar with the dies. And this was my bingo card stepped up. So I had a bingo, and I'm going to do another bingo. It's going to be in March. It's a VIP bingo, and I'm not even having registration for it until like a little while later because I can't handle, I'm still in the middle of a celebration card club, and I can't handle too many projects at once. So I have to have time to craft us. Anyway, but we did a bingo, and the bingo looked like, oh, where'd it go? Thought I had it here. It was a very simple card. And then what I did is I stepped up that simple card we made in bingo, like online. That was a live event. Most of my events are not live. I mean, my videos are live, but most of my events are not. And in this case, we did it with a simple card. And then for the YouTube, I showed you how to step it up with all these dies. So this is one of the cards we made. And then on YouTube, not part of the series, I showed you how to, before the series even started, I showed you how to stamp onto cotton paper and emboss the cotton paper. Now here's what I was planning on doing tonight, but then I got the wild hair to do this whole gatefold card and everything. What I was going to do, because my whole reason was I haven't really shown these border dies enough in this series. So my idea was to show you sort of how to make a card like this using the border dies. But then I got the wild hair to do the gatefold card. So I hope you like that too. But this is another way to use the border dies. And this is a way to stamp cotton paper and emboss cotton paper. There's a lot of techniques in this card here. And then in one of the videos we did how to do distinctive stamping. And we did distinctive stamping, meaning many layered stamping. I have another sample of that over here. This one. Okay, this is called distinctive stamping, where you stamp the different colors. So this was a cherry cobbler card, and this was a fresh freesia. Why am I calling it polished pink? Fresh freesia cardstock, whereas this one is cherry cobbler. I had a bigger pile, but I started giving them away. Finally started giving away, but somebody from my series is going to win these. Now, last week we did, okay, this one I did on Facebook. Maybe I'll do this in the conclusion of the series for YouTube. I think I'll do a tag treat. That would be fun. But I did this one as a Facebook Live, and I did this on the same Facebook Live, and then we made another treat, but I've already used the diaper fold. All right, last week we did this. I taught you how to make backgrounds using the baby wipe technique. It's a really fun technique. Here's the box we made. Okay, candy box. Wrap the candies inside and all that. Make the lid. I showed you how to do all the measurements. So if you missed the part 6, that was part 6. I do remember that was part 6, even though I don't remember the other parts. And then from that technique, the baby wipe technique, you can also make card backgrounds in general. So I showed you how to make this card background. Yeah, the card background is like this. Oops, there's another one. Okay, so that's another card background using the baby wipe technique in the Eden's Garden. And then just a couple more fun things. One of the videos I showed you how to layer vellum and how to layer cotton paper. And then this is my favorite card of all, and this wasn't even one I taught in the series, just something I did teach on YouTube, though, how to ink up embossing folders. And then I used the layering diorama dies and the Beauty of the Earth stamp set to make this card. So these are projects you can make with Eden's Garden. All right, so for those of you that are here, you can be the first ones to get the first kits for the next series. I'm going to introduce the next series real quick because I can't show you the kit because that would be another whole video. But I just want to tell you what the next series is based on. And this is the card we're making. This is just one of the cards making in it. And it is based on the next series. And I'm doing something different too. I'm not including the stamp set and dies or anything. And you can't even add them on because too many shipping issues. I want you to order these yourself. So order these yourself at some point by the end of February, because the videos will be going on until the end of February. Even maybe into March. Who knows? But I'm going to do them in about a week. I'll start. And then I'll start the video series on Rainbow of Happiness, using the Rainbow of Happiness bundle. And then after that, I'll keep going throughout February with this Rainbow of Happiness bundle. Then in March, I'll do the bingo with the Rainbow of Happiness bundle. But then we won't be able to get the paper anymore. So the series will end probably when Celebration ends because I'm really focusing on this paper. I'm going to give you 12 sheets of paper in your kit. And we're going to make such cool projects with this paper. And I'm even punching out some clouds for you so that you can do a card like this. I have a cloud punch, so you don't have to have the cloud punch. I'm going to punch out a couple clouds for you. But you do need the dies because I'm not going to die cut these little pieces for you. You're going to have to die cut them. But anyway, this is what we're basing our next series on. This is the card club. We're doing this one on YouTube soon. But these, we'll be doing something like this. Okay, so anyway, you can check out all those links in the description. Oh, US only. Sorry, if you're in another country, you can just still follow along on YouTube because I'll teach you how to make all these things on YouTube. But you just can't get the kit. My kits are a great value, and there's always crafty surprises in there that I don't even tell you about. And you only find what they are when you get them. And sometimes I don't even know what they are until I start making the kits. But this time I have a really fun crafty surprise for you. That's something very unique and different. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's a surprise. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Eden's Garden card tutorial on how to make a gatefold card. I hope you'll give this a try with your supplies. And we'll see you soon in the next Eden's Garden workshop tutorial, which probably will be, if not the conclusion, close to it, where I will go over all the projects once more and tell you who won the drawing, which I'll be doing in my VIP group. And the drawing is for those who order the kits. They will get one of each project from my entire series sent to them in a pretty package. That's all for now. This is the Papered Chef.